There is something you can do about it. And it is your fault. Taking ownership means actually solving the problem. Any human realizes that if you want some kind of a good outcome, you're going to have to work hard for it. There's a way that it can happen, usually from a leadership perspective. When people ask me this question, is it possible to take too much ownership? The answer is yes. And that is, if I'm in charge and you're working for me, and I take so much ownership over a mission or over a project that you don't feel like you have any input at all, then I've taken too much ownership. As far as an individual person, there's going to be things in your life that you don't have control over. And one of the early questions that I got asked about this, like for instance, someone gets a terrible disease or their kids gets a terrible disease, a random disease that's through no fault of anyone. The kid gets sick or the person gets sick. And no, there's nothing you can do about that. What you can take ownership, though, is how you respond to that situation. And so that's what you have to do. There's things that you can control. There's things you can't control. Now, I will tell you that human beings can control a lot more than they think they can. And oftentimes it's pretty easy just to say, oh, that's not me. That's not on me. And I think that's the whole genesis of the idea of extreme ownership, is most of the time, or much of the time, people say that's not my fault. There's nothing I can do about that. And more often than people think, there is something you can do about it. And it is your fault. So if you're working for me and you don't show up on time, or you're not professional when you're conducting your briefs, I need to say something to you. And I need to take ownership of the fact that I haven't made it clear that, hey, you need to show up on time, and hey, you need to be more professional, and hey, you need to wear the right uniform or dress the part. I need to take ownership of that. And maybe if I do, and I talk to you and we discuss why it's important, and you say, oh yeah, I really didn't think about that, and you change your ways and you get on board and you start showing up on time, you start acting more professional, it's great. We solve the problem. There's also a chance that you're late again, or you show up, with booze on your breath or whatever, and we're meeting with a client and I say, hey, Chris, you can't do this. Look, I'm serious. You cannot act this way. This reflects bad on all of us. And and I might even say, listen, if you keep this up, you're not even gonna be working here anymore. I'm gonna have to get rid of you. You say, no, I love working with you. It's gonna be great. I won't do it again. And maybe that solves your problem. Or maybe you're late again, or you continue to act unprofessionally, and then I'm gonna get rid of you. I'm gonna say, hey, Chris, look, I talked to you. I tried to explain this to you. And at a certain point, this job isn't for you. So that can happen. And I have to take ownership of the fact that you are actually not capable of doing this job that I've asked you. So that's fine. Same thing can happen in a relationship, right? Look, if you're in a relationship with someone and you're bickering about where we're going to go for dinner, or you came home late from work and all you do is, well, I've been working all day. You should respect the fact that I've been working all day. Like that's actually on you. That's actually on you. And you can make adjustments to that. Now, can you get to a point in a relationship where the other person is not a good fit for you? And at some point you say, you know what? I've made these adjustments. I've come home, on time. I've texted you when I was going to be late. And these other things are coming up. And you say, you know what? I don't think this is working. And I don't think this is a good relationship. So at a certain point, you say, okay, I've made the adjustments that I can make. And I have to take ownership of the fact that we're not a good match. So yeah, there's plenty of times where taking ownership means actually solving the problem, not continuing to pour the problem down your neck every night, because that's not very helpful to anybody. So yes, at a certain point, you have to make adjustments and you have to move forward. Why do I think people are drawn to advice telling them to do hard things? Because I think any human realizes that if you want some kind of a good outcome, you're going to have to work hard for it. And if you don't work hard for something, you're not going to get an outcome that's really worth much. I'm sure that's a bummer for someone to look at someone else that's working really hard and achieving some positive things, and they know that they're not maybe working as hard as they could be, and they're not really achieving what they want to achieve. I'm sure that stings a little bit. I would recommend that you don't let random bots or people on Twitter bother you that much. That's my recommendation. I would recommend you to, the first time I kind of experienced that, it was when I was on Rogan for the first time, and the YouTube video came out, and I sat there with my oldest daughter, who was probably maybe 14 or 15 at the time. And I sat there and read these heinous comments about me and laughed. I mean, it was kind of, some were pretty good. It was kind of funny. So yeah, I'm not getting bothered by somebody that wants to talk smack about me for whatever on Twitter. And also there's probably some truth to whatever they're saying. They say I'm a big knuckle dragger. Yeah, probably right. They say I'm an idiot. Yeah, there's definitely some of that. What else? Even the idea of extreme ownership. If you take it to an extreme where you're, like, as you pointed out earlier, you're blaming yourself because your daughter got a disease, or you're blaming yourself because your husband is abusing you. Like, there's a point where you think anything go too far. And, I mean, there's some pretty good memes about that on the internet.
Phenomenal
yeah,
memes.
There's some good memes about that on the internet. Oh, crashed my car, my dog died. Good. I needed a new car anyways. So, yeah, take it to an extreme. It can become pretty silly or funny, depending on how you take it. But for the most part, you're going to run into challenges in life. And if you curl up into a ball and complain about it, that's not going to help you. And if you say, okay, cool, good, here's some adjustments I can make to move forward, that's going to be a better move than cowering.